How to conquer flow state. What is flow state? Flow state is when you immerse yourself in an activity to the point where nothing can distract you, where you feel energized in the activity and you achieve ultimate focus, you could say. It is possible that you've been in the flow state before in your life without realizing it. For example, maybe you were playing a sport and it was really, toe to toe, it was very close and everybody was giving it their all and you achieved flow state without realizing how fast the clock was going, or maybe time slowed down even for you, and you were super focused on achieving everything. You had a complete vision of the whole field, or maybe it was at work, you had a deadline to meet and you had to work extra hard, or delivering foods or drinks to a table faster than normal, or things of the sort. Or perhaps you were studying and again you had an assignment you had due in midnight, and you left it for the last second, and because of that you had to work extra hard on that final day. However, you still managed to get it done. How? Because you worked really hard? Well, yeah, obviously. But if you worked really hard like that from the beginning, do you think you could still achieve it at the same speed? No, that's because you wouldn't be under the flow state where nothing else matters and you're not fully immersed. However, we can learn to control this flow state little by little, and I'm going to talk about how. Something that I've been doing myself to help me is a thought separating meditation. I'm not really with the terms, I don't know if there is a name for the practice I'm about to describe, but it's a method that I use that I found helps me achieve a better focus. And what it is sitting down 10 to 15 minutes each morning with a deep controlled breathing. So you put your attention into your breathing, where you breathe into your diaphragm and exhale slowly, all through the nose obviously. And in the meantime you also pay attention to where your thoughts are going. However, you don't let them roam around without control. You focus your attention into your breathing and into one singular point. People say don't think anything. Well, good luck, that's impossible. Instead of thinking nothing, try and think about one thing. That one thing could be nothing, the word nothing, the image of nothing in your head. For me it's an image of nothing, what nothing is. It's just a transparent void, or it could just be the word for you, or it could just be a little landscape with flowers. But you think about that place, and then when something infiltrates your mind, what you do is you don't fight it, you don't realize, oh god, that's it, it's over. I'll open my eyes. No, what you do is you separate it. You take your head, right? No, you don't separate your head. You take your thoughts in your head, and if you were visualizing a panorama or a word, and other words came into play or other images came into play, you simply take them out slowly. So if it was Aikido, you don't use strength, you just you get it out of the way, one by one, and with enough patience, you'll be back to ground one, ground zero, where you just don't have anything but that one image, and you keep it there. You focus on your breathing as well. That should take a lot of your attention away if you do it properly, which is, again, deep inhale and slow exhale. But anyways, look up how to breathe. So that's the first practice. Each practice I'll mention here will have its own contribution to the flow state, the conquering of the flow state, as well as its own benefits. For example, for this one, you'll achieve greater clarity and greater focus even outside of the flow state. In natural everyday setting, you'll be able to have a more controlled, a more directed attention, where you don't divert anywhere, where you don't float into the realm of thoughts. This next one is a practice that emerged to me when I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about how to make life as productive as we would be in a game, kind of thing. And you know how in a game you have a script, you have something that you follow and you know what you're doing next, and you have a clear limitation of what you can do and what you can't do. Well, we took this into the real world and we thought, what if we took the same concepts and applied it into the real life? Okay, so let's put it in the picture. In a game you have a script, you have a storyline. You kind of know how the storyline goes, and because you know, you can go from one task to the other way faster. You know that after you rescue the villager, you're going to have to go into the dungeon, and after you go to the dungeon, then you're gonna have to get the mission rewards, and after that you're gonna have to go to the blacksmith. You know, I'm just making stuff up, but that is what it is. You have a certain routine that you follow, and you just do it. There's a clear limitation to what you can do. In the game, you can't just say, you know what, I'm gonna ask my character to just do a backflip all of a sudden, and he executes it. No, that doesn't happen, right? Maybe in the future when we have better VR, but not now. And so we thought about this, and we thought about the real world, where in the real world there's two things. Life is too uncertain. The script of life can be whatever we want it to be. And that's a wonderful thing, because thanks to that we have the freedom of... We have freedom. We're not constructed into anything. We're not forced into something we don't want. But at the same time, too much freedom can cause for disruption and can cause for waste of time, your own time. So we try to see what it would be like to, instead of having a scriptless life, put in clear limitations and clear barriers to stop us from going forwards into something. And you know, for me, I'm a Muslim, so I already have a few things. For example, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to intoxicate myself in general. I don't date. I'm in self-improvement, so I don't eat bad food. I don't jack off. I don't do anything like that. So I have a lot of limitations that already stop me from doing certain things, which thus help me put my attention to something else. And then because of that, a lot of friends ask me, oh, how do you have the time to do, you know, jiu-jitsu, boxing, still be in good shape, and go to work and then work on your own projects? And I say, subhanallah. What helps you achieve this is a scripted life. A scripted life would look something like, okay, in the morning I'm gonna wake up at this time, and then I'm going to eat 4 eggs for breakfast. After I eat my 4 eggs for breakfast, I'm going to go into the gym, and after the gym I'm going to shower, cold shower. Then I'm going to read my book. After I read my book, I'm going to meal prep for the rest of the day. I'm going to have my first meal. Then I'm going to do some work. I'm going to have to go to work, if you have like a self-employment and a job like I do. And then you go to work, and then in work you have your second meal, and then you come back home, you have your third meal, and then you do some more work, reading, you go to bed, repeat every day of your life. Never stop, no weekend. So what I've been talking about is essentially a routine, but way cooler, obviously, and explaining the psychology of a routine and why it would work with us, and why it does work, rather. And I've been trying it for the past 3 months or so, and you know, you wake up at 8 and then it's 10:30 afterwards, and in those 2.5 hours that you've had a tight schedule, where I actually have alarms of everything that I'm going to do, so my phone rings like every 15 minutes or 20 or half hour, so I can go from one task to the other, and everything gets completed. And I just look at my mornings and I think, what I've achieved in 2.5 hours is what most people call a productive day. And I'm just so grateful, so thankful. That's why I'm sharing this with you, so that you can maybe find that too. And the magic as well is that you would think that if you go from one task to the other, you know, in a fast pace and in a tight routine with the alarms, your attention goes back to 0, but it actually stays with its momentum. And in your next task, you still have a whole bunch of potence and power. And finally, this is not a to-do, but rather a not-to-do, to achieve better flow state when you get into those scenes. Do not multitask, especially when you're trying to achieve flow state. Make sure that you have one activity at hand, and that's the activity that you are solely focusing on. You don't have background chatter, background music, unless it's lyricless and it's not too hype. For example, when I'm writing, because I'm writing a book, When I'm writing, I put writing music, and it helps me, get into the mood, thinking about more poetic ways of saying things, because I get into that state. But let's say, for example, that you are cooking. Don't cook and watch anime or read manga or play YouTube at the same time. This is something that I've been very guilty of for a long time, and that I still do sometimes. And you may think, oh, I'm watching it now, so I don't watch it later, so I'll be free and I won't waste my free time on watching the episode or the YouTube video because I've already done it. And while that looks good on paper, why don't you just not watch it in the first place and instead put all of your attention into the task that you're doing? The times that I've, in the past, before I now just did it by myself, that I've run out of battery on my phone and that I just had to cook without a phone, for example. For some reason, mysterious, magical reason, the food, 1, tasted a lot better. 2, was cooked a lot faster. 3, I also cleaned up everything before I even finished cooking, besides the one pan that was left. So it makes you think, you really are wasting your time, So yes, these are all things for flow state that I wanted to talk about. And just to recap, the flow state is a state in which you are fully immersed into one activity. So just to touch back on the last point, if you are in this stage, do not put yourself in a position where you're working but you have your phone with you. A lot of people, say this advice, but put your phone on airplane mode or put it outside of your room. Yeah, sure. If you have important calls, I guess no helping it, right? You need your phone. But if the calls can wait and if not urgent, turn it off, get it out of your room. I like actually putting in a place that's very uncomfortable, very hard to access. Atomic habits make it difficult. And I just leave it somewhere else where if I want, I need to go, unlock a box, get the phone, turn it on, look what I wanted to look at. And before that's all done, I'd rather just, if I can do it on the computer, I do it on the computer. If I can't do it on the computer, then I get the phone. But that's all that I wanted to talk about. Strive to be 1% better every day, and much love.